If you are struggling with finishing tracks, this video is going to be the biggest game changer. I've put so much effort into making this tutorial, and this is literally going to be the most detailed video on YouTube on how you can finish more tracks consistently. I will be talking about technical roadblocks, I will be talking about psychological roadblocks, and all of those little nuances when it comes to finishing music. And let me quickly tell you a story. So I was working on a track, which I started like a month and something ago, and I was getting so frustrated, and it took me 20 versions of the same track to finally finish it and get it to the point where I was like, wow, like I'm actually proud of this track. I'm going to show you the track before and after, before we start with the tutorial. I had a lot of ups and downs. Sometimes I felt like the track sounds amazing, and sometimes I was like I hate myself, like I'm a failure. It just sounds so bad. I can't finish it. I suck at producing music. So if you can relate to this, I'm sure you will love this video. And I promise if you watch this till the end, your approach is going to change. So I'm very excited to share this video with you. All right, so let me show you two versions of the same track. So one version is going to be the previous one, which I didn't like, and I had to remake it because it just didn't sound like, I didn't like it. I didn't feel like it was good enough, and I decided to completely remake it. I'll go like and show you a couple of different sections. So this is going to be the drop number one. So it's sort of okay, like it's definitely not bad, but it is like not nearly as close as where I want this track to be, right? So check the second drop. So yeah, this is probably one of my favorite parts from this track, like in this track, like the climax, as you can see at 133. And this is like the most successful part of this track. Okay, now let me show you what I did in the last version of the same track, because like it's a day and night difference, and you will understand why I think version number 20 compared to like version number 17. I think the last one was like 17. You'll understand why it's so much better. So let me show you the... Okay, so before I dive deep into all the things that I did, just overall, I'm sure you can hear that it's much simpler. It's much simpler. And then we'll dive into like what I did specifically, like all the struggles that I have and so on. So let's listen to the second drop, and you'll understand why I think this version is so much more professional, way better, and so on. right, so you can hear that I'm using pretty much like all the same sounds, but it's such a different vibe. Okay, so that was the demonstration. I know like it's quite a dramatic difference. So now what I want to talk about is like my whole process, my thinking process, what I realized, and so on. Okay, so let's dive into my beautiful presentation. So, Relentless simplification. This is my go-to method for finishing tracks fast AF, right? So I'm gonna teach you this method in this video, and it's gonna change everything, like everything for you. I promise. Just stick to the end of the video. Here's what's covered in the video. So we're gonna talk about the problem that I had. We're going to talk about what I did before finding this solution. We're going to talk about the solution itself, and we are going to talk about the key takeaways. So let's go. It's going to be amazing. So part number one, problem, what I faced with when making this track. And I'm sure you can relate a lot to like those things. I couldn't finish this track for a month. I did about 20 versions of the same track before I finished it. I tried mixing the track, but it still didn't work and I couldn't finish it. Idea of the track started good, but it didn't sound cohesive. Something was off. Had a lot of good sounds on its own, but altogether the sounds, they just didn't sound good enough. The track felt too long and too boring towards the end, and it was just hard to finish the track for some reason. So this is the problem. This is what I faced with, right? And I struggled a lot. I have to be honest. I struggled a lot with this track. So let's talk about the ideal scenario. So this is how you think you will finish the track. So you just start and then you think you're gonna finish, right? But in reality, what happens? It's more like this. So you start and then you can see that just ups and downs, and then after some time you can finally finish the track, right? So this is sad reality, and quite often this is how music is being made, right? I'm not telling that it's impossible to make it again like this way. Quite often it can be true, but more often than not, this is actually the sad reality. Okay, so let's talk about the next things. This is the sad reality, right? Let's talk about the most common challenges that you may face with. So number one is going to be perfectionism, attachment to ideas, and decision fatigue. I want to address perfectionism first. When it comes to making music, I think it's really all about finding that balance when you think, like, is it really good enough? And you're trying to be like a perfectionist, right? So with this track, I just wasn't satisfied. It's not like I was trying to make it perfect. It was just something just didn't sound good to me. And finally, with the last version of the track, I was happy with the result, you know. So that was the thing. That was the thing that I was looking for. So what advice can I give you at this point? So do not try to make it perfect, but also don't be complacent. Don't be complacent and don't think that you can't improve the track. Just don't push yourself too hard and don't be hard on yourself, right? So it's all really about finding that healthy balance. I'm almost never satisfied with the tracks that I make, right? So I'm always pushing myself, pushing my boundaries, pushing my limits. That's sort of the thing. And this is what I want to teach you. So again, don't be too hard on yourself, but think critically. Think critically and be real with yourself and honest. Like, does it really sound good? If it does, then just go ahead, right? Attachment to ideas. This is something also very common, that we get attached to the ideas. And the problem is, when you get used to the sound of the track, it's so hard to change it. And I will address that later in the video. We'll talk about that. But the thing is, do not get attached to the ideas. It's easy to say, right? It's easy to say, but trust me, I'll give you some tips. I'll give you the whole framework, like all the things that I discovered. And I'm super hyped to share that with you. Like you can see just the way I am right now. And again, decision fatigue. Like you just don't know like what to do, how to do, when to do. We'll talk about that. But those are sort of the most common of the challenges that I face with. And this can be paralyzing, right? So again, let me show you this beautiful animation. I worked 3 hours on this present, like 2.5 hours. Like this is paralyzing, right? So let's talk about other psychological blocks. And I think it's like very important to address that, right? Actually, wait, let's jump back into the project, and let's just listen, like, once again. Just compare those two ideas, right? So let me show you the, wait, which one was that? Yeah, just listen to it. Like, just listen. Again, look, the idea, it's not like that it sounds amateur, it's not like that it sounds bad. I just wasn't happy enough. I felt like I could do better. And I want you to be the same. Like, you can always do better. Even if you don't believe you can actually do it, right? And again, I was so attached. And then at some point, I was like, you know what? Let me just change it. Let me just change it and see what happens, right? And then again, if we listen to the new one, it's just, oh man, I just love it. It's just so good. And I'm still kind of using the same sounds, right? Okay, look, let's talk about the other psychological blocks, which are very important to address and talk about. Creative block and burnout. So look, sometimes it can be so that you work on the track and then you just run out of energy, and then like you try to push it and then you sort of get into this loop, right? You just don't know if you're doing the right thing when it comes to like sound design, mixing, and so on. So it's just like, sometimes it's really hard. So look, from my experience, often that's the case. What I understood is you have to learn how to manage your energy. So once you start feeling that, hey, like I just can't work on the track more, although I feel like you can quite often push yourself, I still believe that, you know, if it doesn't work well, it's just no point of pushing yourself. If that's the case, if you really feel like creative block, if you feel like you're burning out on this project, like take a break. Throughout this month, I took a break for like 3 to 5 days, and that was good because I came back to the track with fresh mind, with fresh ears. It's normal. So take break, manage your energy, and look for other sources of inspiration. Also, something important that I noticed, if I'm working on one track for way too long, I get too tired of it. So just work on other tracks. That's it. That's really important, you know. But it's such a big thing, but it also like so simple to fix, really. It's not that big of a deal. Decision fatigue. So when it comes to decision fatigue, it's like, what I can say from my side is, quite often I felt lost throughout the whole process. You know, like you may do a little bit of sound design, a little bit of mixing, you do arrangement. No, don't do it this way. I'll show you a better way, the way that works for me. And then look, I'm not telling this is right, this is wrong. I'm just telling, hey, that works for me. So try it out. If you feel like you don't really know what you're doing, if you feel like you're stuck, let me help you with this. Let's talk about the framework. This is super important. You want to have a replicable system that you just use it every time. Every single freaking time you use the same system. This is how I work. I start the idea. I do a bit of sound design and sound selection. So I can get like the whole idea done. Let's say it's like going to be like 1 minute. Then I do the arrangement. Then I do mixing. So like it's compression, saturation, EQ, automation, like things like that, right? And then I'm finalizing my mix. So if you feel like you're stuck, you have this decision fatigue, you don't know what you are doing, then the thing is, just use this framework. Really, do step by step. Do not jump into different sections. Like, it's okay once you are experienced enough. Even myself, I find sometimes I'm just like messing around, spinning my wheels. But overall, this is the framework that I can promise it will help you. If you do it step by step, like, bro, it's just gonna be so simple to finish music, right? The next thing, the joy of creation versus the pressure of completion. If you're not enjoying it, take a break and come back later. Again, that relates to one of the previous slides, like creative burnout, creative blocks, because the point is, like, we should be enjoying making music. At the end of the day, this is really all about enjoying making music, right? So yeah, thing is, if you're not enjoying it, just like, bro, take a break. It's gonna be all good. Thing is, you get some energy, you get some more inspiration, and like it. Although I believe you should challenge yourself, you should push yourself to the limit. You should push your like boundaries and limits. But then again, if you feel like it just doesn't work, there's no point of continuing doing that, right? Now, let's talk about the next thing. And I think this one is like really, really big. Sunk cost fallacy. If you try it 100 times and it didn't work, change it or drop it. So what I mean with this track, I know even this one, I had tracks, different tracks. And sometimes just because we spend a lot of time on the idea, like you get so attached, and like a lot of psychological blocks that just stack together and they make it hard for you to finish music. So the point is, if you try it 100 times and it's still not working and you sort of just like messing around, spinning your wheels, if it doesn't work, like change it. You just change it or you drop the idea. That's simple. Sometimes I did like a complete 180 and I just completely changed the idea as I did in this example, right? So that's the point. Let me illustrate what I mean here. So this is my project timeline. So it took me about 20 versions to finally finish it, and about 1 month of back and forth. Like it wasn't like 1 month of straight music production. Some days I did it, some days I didn't. If it looks like this, like, bro, I have to say, you have to do something with the track. If you feel like you went up and then you're just stagnating, so you're not really feeling the track, or it just doesn't work, just drop it, or you change it. Like you do 180, change the idea, do not get too attached to the idea, right? Part 2, what I did before finding the solution. Let's talk about this. Synth automation. So now I'm going to be showing you the whole project, breaking everything down. It's going to be a lot of fun, so buckle up. We're going to go into Ableton, and then let me just play a couple of parts from the project, and then you'll understand what I'm trying to say here. So let me disable like all the reverbs, everything that I have here. And you can see I do have quite a lot of automation, which we'll talk about just in a second. I will be soloing some of the channels. So look, sounds pretty good, right? So I had all of these layers and I was like, hey, like let me combine, let me layer, let me just put so much into the track. I was like, okay, sure, that sounds good. But now let's go back. Listen to those two synths. Because the thing is, look, you might think that it sounds good. You're like, Vlad, what are you talking about? But the problem is, to my ear, it doesn't sound good. And trust me, I will explain soon what the problem is. I just want to go step by step. So the thing is, I did a lot of automation, but it just sort of didn't help, right? If we listen to this one, for example. And then we can take this one. Especially here, it sounds kind of off. So my point was, like, what I was trying to achieve with the automation was that I was trying to sort of separate the synths, right? So I opened one filter on one synth, and then I closed the filter on another one, right? So, yeah. That was my approach with that. But unfortunately, as you can hear, it just didn't work. It didn't work here, and it didn't really work. I think, let me find the first. Where do I have? Yeah, let's do this drop, right? Listen to those two synths. To hear, like, here especially, and you can see, look, I'm doing a lot of filtering, like manually. Like you can do this with a MIDI controller, but still, you know. So that's the thing. It just sounds off, right? So on their own, it sounds good, but like this, they just don't, right? So synth automation didn't really work in this case. So let's talk about the next thing, what I was trying to do. Track mixing, and now I'm gonna show you something cringy. So I was trying to mix the track. So I was trying to go from unbalanced to balanced. To me, the process is like this. The arrangement is finished. So I was trying to do automations. I was trying to do mixing, like all of those things. I was like, hey, okay, maybe that's gonna help. So let's go back into the project. You're gonna be quite surprised with what I'm gonna show you, right? Again, track mixing didn't work, right? It just didn't work, bro. So let me show you. I think I had it here, right? So that was the version number 7. So if we play it from, let's play it from here. Wow, super loud. Something happens to it. By the way, that was pretty much the same thing. Like here with filters, I just couldn't separate the synths. There was like one fundamental problem that I had, really, right? So I was trying to mix it. Then again, look, if you listen to this version, like it's really well mixed because I did like a lot of revisions. Yeah, here mixing is really on point. But then look, I also had it, like, you're gonna laugh at me, like, you're gonna laugh at me, like, no. This is cringe. Like, this version is just pure cringe. Let me do extend it out. Like, the balance is so off. I was trying, and at the end of the day, it just didn't sound good. Right? Like, it's just so off. And that was version number 11, right? So even unmixed one sounds better. Again, so if you think that mixing is gonna help, it will not. It will not help you. Let's talk about the next thing that I did. Let me play you the beautiful animation. So I was trying to remake sounds, synths, like melodies overall, right? So I went from, let's say, like version number 1 to version number 3, rhythm number 4, and so on. So even just by listening to, let's say, this version, right? This is version 17. And if we go back and we play version number, might be pretty much the same, but maybe it's not. It's actually quite same, but look, still, in the final version, I changed the melody, I changed a lot of rhythms and so on in some parts of the track. But the point is, if you think that remaking sounds, synths, melodies, rhythms will help, this is a real example that unfortunately it will not help. Okay. And the final thing that I want to talk about is going to be, again, let's play the animation. I was trying to fix what wasn't working. It just wasn't working. So I was trying to take one thing which didn't work and try to make it work. Like, bro, it just not gonna happen. Like, if it doesn't work, unmixed, like raw, unedited, just means that you have to change something about the track. Just sad truth, maybe sad, maybe not, but that's basically the point. Now, let's talk about part number 3, and this is the method that I want to talk about. Solution: relentless simplification. Remember this phrase, remember this term. So what I realized, let's take a look. So this diagram, it represents the track that I had. And the point is, I had too many good ideas in one track, and they just didn't sound cohesive. They didn't sound like one big thing. And this is quite often what I see like in my one-on-one clients, like guys I work with. So, you know, that's the thing. So it's always better to have a simple track. Like simple. Simplicity is the biggest thing that I learned from, you know, making music. I've been producing since 2016, right? It's gonna be 8 years soon. And that's the biggest thing. It took me years, and only like 1 or 2 years ago, I started understanding like, wow, really? Is it so simple? And look, again, let's go back to the project and just take a look. Like we can take a look at the leads and so on. Even this section, right? It's, again, you may think that it sounds okay, but like it doesn't. Like you have to train your ears for that. Again, like that's experience. I'm not like expecting you to, you know, just all of the sudden become like a pro. It obviously takes time. It took me 8 years. So again, like I don't know where you're at in your musical journey, but like I hope this helps. Like I truly hope that this helps, and you know I believe that this video is one of the best videos that I made in my channel. So that's the point, right? Like just too many ideas which are not really connected. If you listen to this one, this one is not bad. Like this is probably like the best part of the track, but still, again, that's the problem. Like too many good ideas in one track. It's just not gonna sound cohesive. So what you want to focus on is just a couple of sounds, just a couple of the most important sounds in your track. And that's it. You don't need more than that. We'll talk about that really soon. I'll be breaking down the main groove, okay? So this is what I realized, right? Let's talk about key strategies for simplification. So number 1 is you want to focus on one groove. So let's just imagine that this is just a schematic approach for your groove, right? You want to align everything in a way that it supports one groove. It supports, like, how can I explain the groove? It's like the rhythm, the pulsation. Pulsation is really the key to the groove, right? So if you listen to the last version of the track that I have here, right? Let me just show you, because it's just so crucial, guys. Like you have to understand this. Look, let's listen to the ARP sound. Let's listen. Just like on its own, like it's so freaking groovy. Like I love it. I played this track in the club to test it, right? And I can show you real quick how it would sound in a club. It just sounds good, right? So look, what you have to understand is the groove, is the pulsation. So sometimes it can be 16 notes, but you really need to find the element and the pattern that is driving your track. Sometimes it's 16th. Here I'm combining actually something in the first part, right? The groove is a little bit different. But the point is, this is the groove, right? And I want to make sure I support it with all the instruments, with everything that I have, right? So the main lead sound. So this sound is also creating a pulsation it also we're also creating a pulsation. So once we do it together with the acid sample, I'll disable this. Just listen to how it sounds with shakers. You see, like, it creates such a nice groove. So again, for my track, it's 16th notes. For your track, it can be different. Maybe it's gonna be like syncopated, triplets, offbeat, downbeat, whatever is the thing, right? But the most important thing is that you have to understand, what is it the main groove in your track, right? What's the main groove in your track? Right, so it's, once I start adding more elements, it's just, so that's really the point. That's the whole thing. Look, if we go back in the first section of the track, which should be here, the groove is not really that's prominent, right? It may be a little bit different, but still, if you listen to the listen to how the percussion is adding groove to the lead sound, and listen to those drum hits. So every single drum hit that I did here, like, it was placed strategically to support the rhythm, and you should be doing the same, right? I don't want to go like too deep into that, but let me know in the comments, like, if you have any ideas, like, for the next videos, if there's anything from this video that I can talk more about. But that's the thing. Listen to this. I'll show you real quick, right? This section is what creates the groove. It's like, like, we're bouncing up and down, up and down. That's the thing. That's the thing in music. It takes some time. It takes some practice, playing in the club, playing instruments, listening to a lot of tracks. But like, once you mastered it, like, music production becomes so easy, right? That's the thing. So yeah, the groove can be different, can be very, very different depending on the situation. Yeah, okay, so let's talk about the next thing, and we are almost finished with the presentation. So the next thing that I want to talk about is going to be the length of the track. So really, when it comes to the length of the track, what I realized is, the bigger is the project, the longer is the track, the more resources and energy you need to finish it. So start small, like, start short. If you think you need like 6 to 7 minutes, I have to disappoint you. Nobody's gonna listen to like 6 or 7 minutes on Spotify. So shoot for like 2.5, 4 minutes, like, max. And then the extended one, like, if you want to play it, if you want to release it on Beatport, then yeah, for sure, make a longer one. Because if you compare this version with the one that I had initially, I mean, it's not that much shorter, really, right? So if you put it here, it's sort of like, yeah, like 1 minute, but still, I'm planning to make it a little bit longer. But the point is, like, if you have a bad idea, and if the track is long, and if you're gonna try to like push yourself to finish this idea, like, bro, it's just not gonna work. So shorten the track first, right? Work on the track, and then after, what you can do is you can always extend the track, right? So that's the point. Okay, so again, the biggest thing, and I want to talk about this one more time. Have one strong idea. So instead of putting a lot of sounds into the track, just have one strong musical and harmonic idea, and look, that's it. If we go back, you can see, like, I just have like so many sounds playing at the same time. What's the point of, like, just like, why? Like, if you ask yourself this question, like, why do I need to put that many sounds into the project? And if you like address this question critically. I'm like, do I really need that much? Like, if you listen to, like, what's the point of this? Like, I have so many sounds playing at the same time, and the point is, if you take a look at the last version of the same project, I'm even thinking to like simplify this, just like cut from here. Again, like, I'm not saying that layering is a bad thing, but like, look, just don't really overcomplicate it, right? Just not worth it, really. So if you listen to this one, like, it's just so simple, like even just one sound. And that's it. And I just want to simply, like, thing is, it doesn't have to be complicated, like, at all. I could even just cut it from here. Because it's just no point. Like, if you have two sounds that are like sort of playing in the same register, they're gonna fight with each other. It just doesn't make any sense, right? So that's the thing. Again, don't overcomplicate stuff. Just have one strong idea, as I have in my next version of the track. So I had the first job and the second one. The idea is the same throughout the whole job. And then you can sprinkle something on top if you want. But the point is, like, keep it simple. Now, part number 4, and this is the final part of this video. Key takeaways. So what I faced with when making this track. So you want to avoid overcomplication. Really, you don't need many layers. You don't need like super complex arrangement, crazy sound design. Quite often things are way more simpler than you think. Be open to changing ideas. So do not get too attached. Just save the project as a new version. Work on the idea, like change it completely. Do 180. Do 180. Change it. Change the stuff which is not working. Like, what's the point? Like, if you get attached to the idea and it's not working, what's the point of keeping the idea? Like, just doesn't make any sense, right? And then the final one is you want to embrace simplicity. One good sound idea can be enough. And before I finish, I want to, again, address these 3 challenges. Again, attachment to ideas is not good. So be open to changing ideas and just like changing the whole track, maybe dropping the track if it's not working. Take all the elements that are working, make a new track out of that. But if it's not working, there may be like a reason why it's not working, right? So in my case, just was way too complicated. But the thing is, like, I'm not gonna just throw away the idea. I'm actually gonna use it for another track, but that's a whole another story. So yeah, that was it for this video. I think this is one of the best videos that I made, both like visually and plus like teaching concepts. So let me know what you guys think. If you like the presentation, like, it took me quite some time to, you know, to finish it and do all the animations. Maybe next time I'm not gonna do any animations, and that's not gonna take me that much time. But yeah, thank you very much if you stuck to the end of this video. I hope the video was valuable. Don't forget to subscribe if you like my videos. I'm going to be posting more of these, and leave a comment below. Yeah, just support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.